UFC Vegas 56. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and share the video as well. Let's jump right into it. First fight of the night, Damon Jackson fights late notice replacement Daniel Argueta. Remember, Ultimate Fighter veteran Argueta lost in the first round against Ricky Turcios. Damon Jackson's not an easy debut, especially on short notice. I'm picking Damon Jackson to win out the gate. Both guys are wrestlers. Jackson definitely has the size edge. I think he has a tenacity advantage. When I was watching Argueta's most recent fight in LFA, his hands are super low. Damon Jackson is not a boxing ace by any means, but I see him punching Argueta in the face a fair amount. I feel like you can even see Damon Jackson potentially landing takedowns. Argueta's going to look to wrestle a bit. Little bit outsized in this matchup, jumps up to 145 pounds. Argueta's natural weight class is 35, and he faces a big 45er here. He's giving up 4 inches at height. He's definitely going to be at a disadvantage in the physical strength. I think he gets out wrestled. I think that Damon Jackson actually has a pretty impressive win here. I'm going to go Damon Jackson to win by submission. I don't think Argueta has the power to hurt Damon Jackson. I think Argueta's going to actually be backed up in this fight, and I feel like Jackson could hurt him on the feet, but I feel like on the ground, you're going to see Jackson shine. Submitted Kamela Kirk in the last one. Submission over Mursard Bektik earlier in his UFC career. Damon Jackson for the win here. It gets Argueta in the UFC door, which is definitely something that he wants, but this is a hell debut, especially on short notice. And he just fought 2.5 weeks ago and won a very competitive split decision against Diego Silva, and that was for the LFA bantamweight belt. Upper weight class, Damon Jackson for the win. And I'm saying submission. I'm going second round. As of right now, they don't have official odds released. I don't see them here, but I am going to throw at what I'm estimating. I'll throw them in the comments when they're officially out. I'm going Damon Jackson minus 200, Dan Argueta plus 150, and I'm very confident Jackson inside of the distance here. I'm kind of feeling too, but definitely Damon Jackson money line. I like him a lot over Dan Argueta. Win for him to start off the card. Let's keep running up. Tony Gravely versus Johnny Munoz Jr. I like the Gravely side. I feel like he definitely has the better boxing of the two. He's more explosive. He hits harder. Johnny Munoz Jr. does have a very good grappling game. Really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skill set. On the floor, he's going to be dangerous. Does have pretty decent wrestling, but I feel like Gravely, a little bit physically stronger. He's the shorter guy of the two. Definitely has more muscle mass on him. I think that could be in his favor in like open mat wrestling. When Johnny Munoz might look to shoot, I think it's going to be hard to get at the legs of Gravely. I think Gravely with his hands could do some damage. A little bit reckless and sloppy at times, but granted, he's throwing a lot of punches in his fights, and he likes to stand up. He can do damage with his hands. I like Tony Gravely for the win. I feel like you're going to see him get it done by decision. Johnny Munoz is still a pretty decent prospect. There's things I like. The ground game is definitely something that I feel he has against a lot of guys. Back end, especially of bantamweight, not Tony Gravely here. And I do think you could see Gravely hurting Johnny Munoz Jr. on the feet. I'm not impressed with the boxing of Munoz Jr. He has a decent jab, and he's developing his game, but he doesn't give me that dangerous power threat. His best game is going to be using his grappling, trying to secure submissions with that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skill set. It's going to be extremely hard to do against Tony Gravely. I like Gravely for the win. I am going to pick decision. I do think Munoz goes the full 3. As far as the lines for this one, close money. Minus 138 for Tony Gravely. Johnny Munoz Jr. sitting at plus 126. So I like that side of Tony Gravely for the win. And I think we do have an interesting fight in store. There's some interesting matchups on the prelims. This is one that I'm intrigued to see. I like Johnny Munoz when he came in. He fought my boy Nate Menes. Shout out to him. He did take an L there, but he gave Menes a really tough fight. Gravely coming off a recent loss to Menes and then bounced back his last one. Dominant win over a good submission specialist, Simon Oliveira. Gravely for the win. I'm calling it by a decision in this matchup. He just has more tools. Next fight of the night. Alonzo Menifield versus Askar Mozharov. I'll be honest, guys. I sat on this one, and I might be nuts, but I think Askar is extremely dangerous in the first round. and I'm going to pick him to win by KO. I love the stand-up game of Askar. Now, of course, the ground game, question marks. Losses by submission, yes. Most recent loss by submission. Prior loss before that, by submission. Alonzo Menifield is definitely going to look to press him up against the cage, work in the clinch. Askar, if he can keep distance and strike, I think he knocks Alonzo Menifield out. He's the better striker of the two by a lot. Askar's extremely explosive, insane kicking ability, fast hands. Like the stand-up of Askar, love it. I'm a fan. I'm an Askar fan. He's an underdog in this fight. Let's look at the lines here too. As of right now, Askar is sitting at plus 143. Alonzo Menifield minus 150. I think this fight definitely ends inside of the distance. As far as pure striking technique, I think Askar's better. I think he's more explosive. Menifield has that awkward Muay Thai style. He throws that really weird right hand, but if it lands, it does damage, and he definitely hits hard. Physically strong, yes. Grappling advantage, yes, but can he get to him? I'm going to call that Askar gets the knockout here and impresses in his UFC debut. It's been a long time coming. He's had a few cancellations that he was supposed to be in, and he's got a 8-second bare knuckle win in his last fight. I think he can sleep Menifield in this one. Of course, if it goes longer, for me, if we pass the 4-minute mark, Alonzo Menifield has a serious edge. If he gets him to the ground, it's going to be Menifield controlling from the top. Askar's ground game is limited. Granted, he's only 27, so I'm expecting to see leaps and bounds each time out, whereas Alonzo Menifield's 34. I wasn't impressed against William Knight. He did have 2 straight wins that he was working with. Ed Herman, older guy. Fabio Charant. Got the Von Flue choke, or the Von Prue choke as we call it, but Charant's now a UFC washout. I think Askar can get the KO. I'm going to ride with him by knockout. I think he's going to sleep Alonzo Menifield in 1 round here. Emphatic fight, maybe the most exciting fight on the card. Let's keep running up. Joe Solecki versus Alex da Silva. I got to ride with this Alex da Silva side. I know Joe Solecki has beaten some decent names now. I mean, the win over Jim Miller holds weight fairly well. Tough loss to Jared Gordon in the last one. Alex da Silva hasn't been super consistent with his fights. When you watch the ability, I see a ton of potential. 21-3 record, but it's not about the records. Records don't matter in the fight game. I feel like the boxing skill set of da Silva better. He's the more explosive striker. He starts very fast, as does Solecki. Both guys are really solid on the floor, and I'm interested to see what happens when Joe Solecki is forced to stand a bit with Alex da Silva if he can't land the takedowns. Now, big question mark we have on Alex da Silva is that gas tank. In his time away, the last fight I believe was a year and a half ago against Brad Riddell. He lost the decision. Brad Riddell's top line, extremely dangerous stand-up game. If da Silva can stay on his feet, which I suggest he'll be able to for a while, I think he can do damage striking, hurt Joe Solecki potentially in this matchup. Both guys in each other's face, throwing down, striking. I think da Silva has the power to win by KO. He does have a very good ground game, and that's where he tends to shine. I feel like we're going to see a competitive matchup over the 3 rounds. I'm going to call Alex da Silva to win by a decision and beat Joe Solecki. No easy out. Definitely not going to be easy for him to do, but I expect him to be able to pull this one out as an underdog. The money on Alex da Silva is plus 153. Joe Solecki minus 163. I know people are going to like the Solecki side. I like Joe Solecki's style. I like the top pressure. I like the constant grappling attack. But what happens when he can't get da Silva to the floor? I wouldn't be shocked if da Silva even landed a big punch and gets a KO. We have seen Joe Solecki knocked out on the regional scene. I believe it was against Nicholas Mota. Alex da Silva, win, decision. I think the jiu-jitsu skills of da Silva is going to be there. He's a black belt on the floor, and he's dangerous. I like him over Joe Solecki. Alex da Silva, upset. Win for the dog here. Let's keep running to the next one. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Niklas Stolze. I think Saint-Denis is tough as hell. I'm picking Saint-Denis to win. Stolze breaks. He can get beat up out there. He's coming off 2 straight losses. Saint-Denis' loss, any normal referee would have stopped that fight way before, but we had a referee that was looking to let Alizio Zaleski commit murder on Benoit Saint-Denis. He got killed in that fight, but the guy doesn't quit. He's continuing with his attack constantly. He has a very good ground game. Solid takedowns, good top pressure. I actually really like the stand-up too. He's a solid kickboxer who fights at the southpaw stance. And in that southpaw stance, that rear leg body kick is money. It's snapping extremely quick. Now, he has a very pressure style and he's relentless. The guy's not going to quit. Stolze is breakable in my opinion. He's a skilled kickboxer too. He works a decent jab. He has solid kicks from range. Hittable down the center. Not a ton of head movement. And I really feel like he can be bullied in the cage. I see Saint-Denis bullying him, take him to the floor, and I think Saint-Denis is going to win by submission here. I think he chokes out Niklas Stolze in the first or second round. I don't see this as a super competitive fight. I think Benoit will walk through anything that Stolze is going to throw because I don't see a ton of offensive power in his strikes for Stolze. And I see Saint-Denis' durability is up here. I think Saint-Denis win via submission over Niklas Stolze in a matchup that's a lot more fair for Saint-Denis coming in. Just his sophomore UFC appearance. They threw him Solecki, who's a killer, and he fought through hell, losing that fight, of course. But in this one, it's win, submission. Let's look at the line. Saint-Denis, minus 150, so close-ish money favorite here. Stolze, the plus 138 dog. I think he's getting ran over. Benoit, Saint-Denis, win via submission over Niklas Stolze in this matchup. Pretty fun lightweight fight. I'm liking these prelims here. Next fight of the night, Mike Trizano versus Lucas Almeida. You got to pick that Trizano side. He's the more crisp striker of the two, but Almeida is a monster. The guy looks to fight. He comes in, he mixes up punches inside, kind of that relentless brawler pressure style. He's dangerous. And you know what? He's not bad on the floor either. I really like his boxing in close range. And if Trizano gets careless, he definitely could be caught by one of Lucas Almeida's looping shots or his hooks. But you look at Almeida, he is kind of there to be hit. He's inside, he's scrappy, and he's there to be cracked. Trizano, very precise with his kickboxing. He's got that technical style. He trains with Tiger Schulman's team over there. The stand-up game is pretty A1. That kickboxing from that team is really good. As far as overall, I think Trizano's the better fighter of the two. He could potentially land takedowns here. Pretty good punch combinations. I like the defense from Mike Trizano. I know he was outgunned in the last one against Hakeem Dawodu, but Dawodu's extremely explosive, athletic as hell, and kind of just does it better than Trizano. This matchup here, I think Trizano might be the more explosive guy, definitely the more technical guy, and defensively sound. He's going to land a good amount of strikes here. I think Mike Trizano getting his hand raised, and it looks pretty solid on the night. I think Mike Trizano should get the win by decision, though. Almeida's 13-1. He's shown good durability, but I think Trizano also mixes in some takedowns too. Unanimous decision for Mike Trizano. Pretty confident pick here. Now the next line here, let's see what it's sitting at. Trizano's a fair favorite, minus 225, so decent size on that one. Lucas Almeida plus 201. I think Trizano should get it done by decision. Hard to say Almeida's going to get finished. I mean, he's got just one loss as a pro. I think he's coming out guns blazing, and he brings the heat. That Contender Series fight was awesome, and he's got a decent game overall. I believe last one was the guillotine win. Yeah, it was a guillotine win, Italo Trinade, over at Jungle Fight. I mean, that's like Brazil's, top-level national league there. But I think Trizano getting his hand raised, bouncing back. Not saying it's a mismatch, but Trizano has seen a lot higher level looks than you're going to get with Almeida. Almeida's that brawling pressure style that makes it really fun. This is a potential sleeper fight of the night, and it ends up being the fight of the night. Trizano getting his hand raised, win. I'm going to call it unanimous decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was a finish in this matchup, which is hard to call with both guys known for being pretty durable. Trizano, though, looking good. Confident pick. Let's keep running up. The next one is Erin Blanchfield versus JJ Aldrich. Blanchfield is being looked at as like the Khabib on the line. I mean, she's the pick here straight out the gate. And I want to throw you the odds because they're insane. Blanchfield right now is a minus 549 favorite best value, plus 472 for Aldrich. I think the line's too wide. Yes, Blanchfield has an incredible grappling game. She's probably going to land a lot of takedowns with that pressure forward style. And I mean, she'll walk through hell. But Aldrich is pretty good. Like, she's not a bad fighter. Southpaw, pretty good with her footwork. Her straight punches are quick and solid. Does have a decent takedown defense. Not an easy girl to control. But Blanchfield is looking like a monster from the top position. Chain wrestling attack. Blanchfield's going to try to bully Aldrich here. and I honestly think she's going to be successful. I really wish the line was more playable because Blanchfield is going to get her hand raised. She's cold-blooded as hell. That's the nickname. I actually love that for her. Submission, I'm calling second or third round. Definitely could see it inside of the distance. Would I be shocked if Blanchfield got a KO on the ground, TKO? No. I think she could unload some ferocious ground and pound. I think Aldrich is going to have a hard time shaking Blanchfield off of her when Blanchfield gets a top position. It's not if, it's when. And I think it's going to be second round. Could be third, but I think we're going to see finish. I'm calling Blanchfield win by submission. She's looking like that real deal prospect at flyweight, and she's so young, 23. Her only loss is to Tracy Cortez when she was 19, and she was right in the face of Cortez, making that a hell of a fight. And Cortez at the time, I believe, was like 25. Erin Blanchfield's a problem at 125 pounds, and I think she's going to run over JJ Aldrich. Unfortunate for Aldrich, she's got a nice 3-fight win streak going, so they throw her one of the scariest prospects in the weight class. Blanchfield, dominant performance, but the line is too wide. Minus 300, I'd be like, all right, maybe add it to the parlay. You can't really touch that minus 600 line, especially women's MMA. But we're going Blanchfield getting her hand raised in dominant fashion over JJ Aldrich. Let's keep running up the card. The next fight, Andre Michailidis versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. Excuse me. That last name is one of the hardest last names to pronounce. The Gladiator Rinat. Rinat's a monster, guys. I don't want to oversell him, though. He got a really big KO over Eric Spicely. One shot. It was a lightning speed fight. But those type of knockouts are not commonplace. It's not like you're going to see that from him all the time. He's more so known for like really good grappling game, solid takedowns, pressure-heavy style. Michailidis, solid jiu-jitsu, known as a grappler in his own right. But, dude, I'm just not impressed with Michailidis at all. His one win in the UFC is a lackluster decision over KB Bular, who I don't know how he even got a UFC shot. I don't know how he was 8-1, because to me, he looked like a one-dimensional Taekwondo fighter. Last one, Pereira beats him. Pereira's style is pure stand-up, and I mean, you know what? Michailidis struggled to control. Rinat is going to do his thing. He's going to do his thing here. I don't see it being super close. I think he's going to look to pressure with the hands. I do believe he can land some good punches inside and maybe even hurt Michailidis on the feet. All of Michailidis' losses, I believe, are by knockout. And I think Rinat is going to do the same. I'm going KO, TKO. I am going to say second round. I do think Michailidis can get through the first. Interesting, we're seeing him 170. Both these guys at 170 for this fight. Michailidis last bout 185. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the weight cut now here in the UFC. Maybe we'll see a better version of Michailidis in the UFC at 170. I don't think so. I think we're going to see Rinat run over him and impress the hell out of us here. We're going KO, TKO. I kind of have a feeling it'll be with the hands, but I do think he's going to land some takedowns in the fight too. As far as the line, minus 260 for Rinat. Michailidis plus 246. I'm pretty confident in that Rinat side, guys. It's a debut, but it's a debut of a guy that I think is a problem for a lot of guys, especially at the back end of 170. I don't know if Michailidis has a lot left in his UFC career besides fighting like pure strikers and trying to grapple. When you match him up against a well-rounded guy like Rinat, who does have the power too, I think he gets devastated. KO, TKO. I'm going to say second round for Rinat in his UFC debut. Next fight of the night. I believe this is the featured bout of the night, but of course they can switch the order on us as we get closer to the fights. Ode Osbourne versus Zarrukh Adashev. When you look at this fight from afar, you're like, oh, Ode Osbourne should definitely get his hand raised, but you start digging into the tape. I gotta pick Zarrukh Adashev. He has an extremely good kickboxing background. He's shown developing wrestling as well. He's going to mix in some takedowns here on Ode. One thing is he's going to give up a bit of range. 5'7" for Ode with a 72-inch reach. Only 5'5" for Zarrukh with a 65-inch reach. But Zarrukh is really good at closing that distance. He does have power in his hands. Good multi-shot punch combinations in the close range. Solid takedown game. I think he's got more snap in his strikes, and I think he hits harder than Ode Osbourne. I feel like Ode is pretty athletic and explosive. He's a rangy guy, but I think Zarrukh lands with a lot more oomph. That pop you're going to hear from Zarrukh does damage. I think he can hurt Ode Osbourne a bit, make Ode hesitant. I feel like he's even going to make Ode want to wrestle, but I think Ode will be surprised when he can't take Zarrukh Adashev down. When you look at guys that come from really good kickboxing bases, they can develop that takedown defense and even takedown offense at times because the hips, throwing those dynamite kicks for years and years and then transitioning it to takedown defense. The explosiveness of stopping takedowns is already there. I think Zarrukh's going to do so. Don't be surprised if he lands a takedown here. I'm not high on Ode Osbourne at this point. The last fight, it was a win over CJ Vergara, competitive fight, but he gassed towards the third. I don't see Zarrukh gassing. I think he's going to put it on Ode for all three, and I think Zarrukh Adashev as an underdog gets his hand raised. As far as the line for this one, Zarrukh plus 153, Ode Osbourne minus 163. Adashev has a hideous record, 4 wins with 3 losses. Osbourne 10-4. It's a bad loss for Osbourne here, but you can't sleep on Zarrukh just because he had a bad debut. And then, I mean, he went distance with Zhumagulov, who's a monster striker who fights really well from distance. And Adashev had really good moments in that fight and landed hard shots. I think Adashev's getting the hand raised. I'm going to call it win by a decision. I'm respecting the durability of Ode. I know he got knocked out by Manel Kape, but that was just an epic flying knee. And that fight was just Manel Kape. Like, that's top line. That's contendership level. This is back-end flyweight division, and I think Zarrukh Adashev can surprise a lot of people this week. I'm going with him to get the hand raised. The Lion for the win over the Jamaican sensation. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash the hell out of the like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Jeff Molina versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. El Jefe should win. They're handing him a win here. I'm going Jeff Molina. 1-3 in the UFC versus 2-0 in the UFC. I don't always love when Molina's moving back and getting, caught near the cage, especially at the apex, the small cage. I think Zhalgas is going to be looking to clinch. His best method to win is going to be clinch fighting and landing some takedowns from there. But I don't think it's going to be easy to hold Jeff Molina down. I don't even think it'll be easy to hold against the cage. He moves really well. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. It's not a huge reach edge, but the skill set standing up, Molina's a lot better. Zhalgas, he doesn't give me a ton. He's okay standing up. He kind of gets caught in like a slugging back and forth striking style, looping style puncher. He's pretty open to shots. He was knocked out in the last one. Jeff Molina, he has knockout power in his hands. I think he could knock out Zhalgas in this one. Don't be shocked if it goes to full 3, but I'm going to go Jeff Molina by KO in the second. I feel like Zhalgas is going to be looking to clinch, might be willing to brawl a bit too much, and Jeff Molina can do it with the hands. He's got pretty decent straight shots, really good lateral movement, and if he can find a good counter strike, Zhalgas' head, to me, is there to be hit. I'm going Jeff Molina win by knockout here. Now, as far as the line, let's see here. Zhumagulov plus 161 as a dog. Molina minus 170 as a favorite. They're throwing Molina a bone here. This should be a win, and I see him getting it done. Fairly impressive fashion over the tough Kazakhstani Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Jeff Molina for the victory. He's improving each and every fight too. He's only 24. I don't see that with Zhalgas. Finish Jeff Molina. We're going KO TKO. Next one is women's action. Poliana Botelho versus Karine Silva. I don't know if this is officially on the main card because I don't think it really is a main card fight. Silva making that UFC debut. I will say, Karine Silva is pretty damn swole for a girl that fights at 125 pounds. She got some dynamite arms. She's got some gains. I think that Silva can win here. I don't love the fight. Botelho doesn't really impress me a lot. She's also 33 and just hasn't really turned that corner. Kind of a pressure clinch style fighter. Decent Muay Thai with okay front kicks. Fairly athletic, but lackluster boxing. Takedown defense is spotty. Karine Silva is a submission finisher, but she's got a good stand-up game. Fights well from range. You saw that fight on the Contender Series. She was having trouble with Jan, who's like a real prospect, jacked as hell. But that submission skill set came through. Locks in the guillotine choke. I think she can submit Poliana Botelho. We've seen her submitted before. We've seen her taken down. Karine should get the hand raised. I like the 1-2s. Like when I watch Karine Silva box and throw straight punches, I don't know if you guys see it, but I see like a mild Amanda Nunes type flow there. There's like a little bit of Nunes inside of her. And I think that on the feet, gonna come in handy here. I think she's gonna land good straight shots on Botelho. Botelho actually might try to look for takedowns here. I think she's gonna find herself submitted. I'm gonna go Silva win by submission. Really don't love this fight. Don't love the betting side either because it's a lot of like unknowns with Silva when she really faces off with that UFC caliber. Botelho plus 100, Silva minus 107. I'm going Silva win via submission in this fight. Could be a pretty weird matchup. I'm very curious to see it play out, but Silva should be getting her hand raised in this fight over Poliana Botelho. Interesting matchup, maybe, maybe not. Next one is a fight that I can get excited about because I'm a fan. Felice Herring and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. The rematch, their second fight. Felice Herring, the losing streak started. She's on a 3-fight losing streak with the loss to Karolina Kowalkiewicz years ago. 4 years ago. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, what's her most recent win? Felice Herring. Split decision. You look at that fight, Kowalkiewicz seemed to have it. It was close on the cards. Felice Herring was in her face, trying to make it a fight, trying to box with her. I think maybe she should have looked to try to get it to the ground a bit more. Might be something to do here. To me, Kowalkiewicz has looked like she's lost the touch. She lost to Jessica Penne by submission. I don't think she's fighting at that same high level. Definitely doesn't have that same explosiveness she once did. Took a really bad knockout loss to Jessica Andrade. She's on a 5-fight losing streak. I thought she was retiring and calling it a career. I got to pick that Felice Herring side here. I like Felice. I've been following her since the tough days. She's definitely really athletic. Both girls have solid Muay Thai skills. I think Herring is a little quicker. Concern is always going to be that Herring gas tank. She does carry a lot of muscle. If you look through her Instagram, she's jacked still. 37, 36, both girls towards maybe the end of their careers, respectfully. I feel like Herring gets a really close decision win. I feel like we're going distance in this one most likely. I think she'll be willing to strike with Kowalkiewicz. I think Kowalkiewicz will be enjoying a nice little stand-up match here. Herring might look for some takedowns, but she's not a great offensive wrestler. She's got a pretty good pressure style, though. Solid straight shots. I really feel like she's a better athlete than Karolina Kowalkiewicz, especially at this point. Kowalkiewicz, I saw the downhill. I called that Jessica Penne loss when she, I believe, was the favorite in that fight. She doesn't seem to have it to me. Kowalkiewicz will have the edge in the gas tank. Does have the edge because she has the win in their first fight. But I think Felice Herring win by a split decision in this one. An ultra close fight. Might not be one to throw down money on. Let's see if the line's even released here. Do we have it? I believe I saw somewhere, but I don't know if this is 100% accurate. It was minus 150 for Karolina Kowalkiewicz is the favorite, plus 125 for Felice Herring. Don't know if those lines are 100% accurate, but that's what I've seen. I'm going to say Felice Herring as an underdog, getting her hand raised. Definitely expect the lines to vary depending where you go and when they officially drop throughout all of the books. But I think Herring can get the hand raised by a close decision. I'm going to say you might want to bet fight goes distance in this one, or potentially the over 2.5 could definitely be a good play here. Let's keep running up. Co-main event, we heat things up a bit with Movsar Evloev and Dan Ige. Evloev is the pick. Like, this is him being thrown, I think, an ideal matchup. Evloev had some tough fight. I mean, tough fight against Nick Lentz. Nick Lentz is a hell of a wrestler. Split decision win there. Still got the win. The last one, though, he fought Hakeem Dawodu, who's a hell of a striker, extremely explosive and athletic, and Evloev controlled him for the entire fight. Dan Ige gave up takedowns to the Korean Zombie. I think he's going to give up a lot of takedowns here. Of course, Ige's dangerous with the hands. He's got really good boxing. I would call him a pretty smooth and powerful boxer. Solid pop in the hands. Mean left hook. If he can get some multi-shot combos or even land a big counter, I think he can knock out anyone in the featherweight division. But I just don't see that happening here with Movsar Evloev. Movsar does have a good kickboxing game too. He's pretty slick in my opinion. And his chain wrestling is fantastic. You got to go the wrestler side here with Dan Ige. Movsar Evloev should win. I'm calling it by a decision. It's hard for me to see him getting the finish off of Dan Ige, who's known for a durable game. Even if Ige gets a bit of striking going, Evloev's level changes are off the chain, and the chain wrestling to tie it in. He's going to keep shooting. He shoots one, can't get the first, he's going to keep going. He has your leg, he's going to keep trying to take you down. Dan Ige is going to succumb to the takedown attempts. He's going to be put on his back. I think he's going to be controlled. I think we're looking at 3 rounds. Probably a similar type fight that we saw with Hakeem Dawodu. Evloev win by a unanimous decision, and he's a prospect to keep an eye on, man. Grapplers, especially at 145, That's a serious threat towards the top line guys. The odds are crazy. Minus 355, Movsar Evloev. Dan Ige plus 314. Evloev for the win. Unanimous decision. It shouldn't be super close. It should be a dominant performance. Unfortunately, the line's real wide that you don't want to attack money line, but solid parlay piece here. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. Alexander Volkov versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash the hell out of the like button. You got to go the way of Volkov. That's the official pick. Jairzinho is a plodding kickboxer, and he fights best with guys that are more plodding in your face, but he struggles with fighters that manage distance well. The Ciryl Gane fight is one that really comes to mind. Even if you look at some of the kickboxing tape, like longer kickboxers, I feel like are his weakness. Volkov brings good front kicks. He's pretty durable. He only has 2 knockout losses. And one was the Derek Lewis fight where he was winning majority of it up until the very end. And you look at the other knockout loss, it was prime Vitaly Minakov in Bellator. He got caught in the first round. Is what it is in the fight game. That's years and years and years ago. I think Drago Volkov, I know he didn't look good against Tom Aspinall. He looked bad against Tom Aspinall, let's be honest. But Aspinall's a monster on the floor. Took him down, submitted him in the first round. I don't think Jairzinho Rozenstruik would do much better. Rozenstruik has the power advantage. Maybe a bit more explosive, but Volkov manages distance extremely well. He has solid hands, good straight punches, really good front kicks, solid low kicks, decent clinch game. He doesn't have any wrestling threat coming at him with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Maybe Volkov decides to clinch up a bit, especially if they get close. Maybe puts Jairzinho against the cage. Jairzinho, to me, is a guy that needs you to be in front of him and just there to be hit. To me, Alexander Volkov's too long. I think he picks him apart. It's so weird seeing this heavyweight fight, and I'm predicting it's going to go the full 5. Both guys have the ability for finishes, and big shots could definitely land, but you got to go the Volkov side. Rozenstruik has the puncher's chance, 100%. He's a heavyweight that hits really hard. He's got a massive lead hook. He's got decent low kicks. If he can get really close to Volkov and unload some combos, yes, he can get the knockout. But to me, Volkov is the way better technician as far as the fighting goes. And even though he doesn't have like that same, years and years of like pro kickboxing fights at, the level like Rozenstruik did, Volkov's MMA kickboxing, it's like second to none. It's top class. He's 6'7" as well. I know Jairzinho sometimes is listed at like 6'2", 6'4". He looks about 6 foot in my opinion. They say he's got a 78-inch reach. Volkov, 80-inch reach. I don't think the reach really matters. It's about the arm length, and that's a stat that we just don't get, unfortunately. Volkov's going to have a huge advantage there. Huge advantage with the low kicks. I think he's going to be from distance majority of the fight. I think Rozenstruik's going to have a hard time getting inside of him. Don't even be shocked if Rozenstruik kind of gasses later here because Volkov's just touching him up, and we end up seeing like a volume KO, TKO situation with Volkov getting the hand raised. Now, as far as the line, Volkov is the minus 147 favorite, so the money's close. Rozenstruik plus 138. Maybe you want to play that main event. Maybe you throw on Volkov. Maybe you like hedge bet a little bit by Rozenstruik by KO, because I really can't see Rozenstruik technically outstriking Volkov for 5 rounds or taking him down. I'd be shocked if Rozenstruik landed a takedown against anyone in the heavyweight division. I'm going Volkov, win by a decision. UFC Vegas 56. Guys, give me the review. What do you think about this card? Give me the score in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to smash the hell out of the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and share the video as well. And if you got nothing to say, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat for the algorithm so we can boost it. Much love, my people. I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.